Welcome to the Underground.
Turn me up, bitch!
My Little Underground with Peter A.
It's My Little Underground. I'm Peter A. Make sure you're subscribed anywhere you get podcasts and follow the show on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at MLU Pod. And you can follow me, Peter A, on Instagram and Twitter at itspeter_A. Today on the show, we got Oceanator, and we're going to talk about her debut album, Things I Never Said, out August 28 on her very own Plastic Miracles label. We'll also talk about her Patreon, her Twitch streams, and so much more right here on My Little Underground. Elise Okuzami, Oceanator, welcome to My Little Underground. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so great. Very excited for your brand new album, Things I Never Said, August 28th on your very own Plastic Miracles label. Mm-hmm. So did COVID affect your album release plans at all?
Kind of, but there were already so many things that were affecting the release plans that COVID itself wasn't like the main factor in all of it. It was originally supposed to come out on another label and was supposed to come out in this past March, and then now obviously it's not coming out on that label, it's coming out on my label, so that pushed it back. And then there was some test press stuff that we were figuring out, so it was gonna be like an early June release, but then COVID did push it back a little bit to August. But since there's no touring, it doesn't matter that much. But I'm excited that it's going to be coming out, because it's been a long time in the making.
Don't you think that now music, like the actual artistry, is more important? At least to me, like I cared more about an artist, album and music more so than the live show. Because when I would talk to people about bands, I would say, well, their last album was terrible. And then they would tell me, well, they're great live. I'm like, yeah, that's great, but their album sucked. You know what I mean? So do you feel that, okay, I need to make sure my album is very strong, even though some of my fans or friends may love to see me live?
Yes, but I guess I also already felt that my album should be very strong. I think an album and a live show are definitely two different things. There's definitely bands, like you were saying, that I would see live and I love them, but I wouldn't necessarily go home and listen to their record. And it's not always necessarily because I don't think the record is good. It's just not something that I like to sit and listen to. It's something that I like to experience more. But for me, I think the live show with this band and the record are two different things. Especially we play the live show as a 3-piece, and the record is much more than a 3-piece. But I want to make them both as good as I possibly can. So it's not, when I was making the record, I was still thinking like I want to make the best record I possibly can, and when we play it live, it's going to be different. I don't necessarily think as much about, like, I don't worry as much in the studio about translating it to live, so I worry about that later, because I want it to be a good studio record, and then I'll figure out good arrangements for it for the live show.
Yeah, I think there's something to that. Like, I do believe, like you said, they are two different things, but I also think they complement each other. Because if I go see a band or an artist live and they did a song that I like, or maybe they did a song I never really care for from one of their records, and after I see them do it live, I go back and listen to the song, I like the song even more.
Totally. Yeah, because then you have that memory of seeing it and the experience of seeing it, and that kind of comes up when you listen to it as well.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah.
So let's talk about... Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I think a really good example of... I don't know if you've seen Courtney Barnett live.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like her record, fantastic, right? But then you go see her live, also fantastic, and kind of different, like much more shreddy and loud and heavy, and she's like got some like yelling stuff going on in her voice and stuff, and it's like incredible. And then you listen to the record and it's also incredible, but they're the same, but they're very different at the same time. I think that's a really good example of like, she made an amazing studio record and then she takes it live and it's still a different experience, and you can have them both and love them both, even though they're and they're the same songs, but they're still a little bit different in each experience.
I think she's effortless when it
It's
comes to that.
it's wild. Yeah, I mean, she's very talented. It's
So I
really
want to talk about your first single. I'm not sure if it's your lead single, "Crack in the World."
yeah.
Um, so is this tune about kind of staying positive throughout the cracks in the world, or just kind of dealing with it, or just maintaining?
Uh, yeah, I think it's kind of it's weird. A lot of times when I write the lyrics, I don't really realize what they're about until later, when I've been singing them and I actually think it's kind of like just they kind of just come out. But I think that this one it's about like everything is terrible, obviously. I wrote the lyrics to this in 2018, so it was like before the current terribleness, but it's been terrible for a while.
Yeah, of
And
course.
I was just kind of it was just kind of about like you had when you were a kid, you thought all this stuff and you had these big plans for your life, and you had all these ideas about what you're going to do, and they're just kind of not happening, and then or not happening to the extent that maybe you wanted them. And then at the same time, like, you watch TV or you go on Twitter or whatever, and you just see all these like terrible terrible things that are happening everywhere, and it's just like you just feel completely like smashed and crushed, and like what could you possibly do about anything? But then at the same time, like, well, you can't give up, and like, and that means both on like the things that you want to do and also on trying to make the world better. So to keep yourself sane, you got to do some little things and stay positive, and um you know uh take breaks when you need to, and then come back and work on all the things, I guess, is
Yeah,
the way to
it's
put it.
kind of like a Lauren Hill thing. Everything is everything.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's one of uh, that theme too is important. I know a lot of people were talking about like, why are bands releasing music now? Like, there's much more important things going on, but I think that you can and should do both, um, because I don't think you can fight for that long without taking some time to step back and recharge. And I think for creators, that's sometimes creating, and for um, people who enjoy listening to music or art and or reading in any sort, like, that's taking some time to step back and listen to a record you like or read a book you like, and then you can get back into fighting, but you can't do it 24 hours a day forever, because you'll burn out, and then you won't be able to be helpful at all. So I think music coming out is still an important part of community and protest, really.
Especially with no shows around. So
Yeah,
now, instead of having public spaces where we gather, we just have our own spaces where we share our creative work.
totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I had this conversation with Mia from Pom Pom Squad, and
Mm,
she was kind of conflicted about, I don't know if I should put music out now. But I don't know if I should post about my music stuff. And I told her directly, you need to do you. You need to, if you want to post music, do it, because we need your voice, especially Black women. We need you guys. You know what I mean?
yeah, totally. Yeah, I think that goes for everyone. Like, obviously there's a way to do it that's bad, or that's the only thing you're posting about, and you don't talk about anything else. Uh and I guess, I mean, I don't want to say that's 100% bad, because sometimes people do things in different ways, so they might not be posting about it on Twitter. They might be still doing it in their life and just not posting about it, and that's a totally reasonable thing to do as well. But I do think that, like, if you're ignoring everything and just putting out your music and just talking about your music, and not in some capacity, um, whether that's public or not, trying to do good, then you're being selfish. Um, if it's just about the only thing you're doing. Um, but I think it's important that people do still like. I don't think that it's necessarily. I know a lot of people have been worried about like the timeline returning to normal, and that's worrisome from like from a. I'm kind of losing what I'm trying to say, but it is worrisome that it about it returning to normal. But at the same time, there should be some of that stuff up there. I think, um, music wise and other and some just a couple silly jokes every now and then. I think is good because it keeps you, um, from being too overwhelmed to do anything. I think it helps to ground you. Uh, and also, we're all living, so we should try to enjoy life too while we're trying to make it better.
Yeah, and I think everyone is on the quest to quote unquote return to normal, but normal is out the window right now. Nothing is
Yeah.
normal now. So we all need to find where we're most comfortable. Like
Hmm.
if you were never a big protester, but you always wanted to help out, just keep doing that. You don't have to post speeches and articles every day if that's was never you. But it's still important to speak up about certain things, especially white people. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty telling when you can see a band just literally say nothing about it, a white band especially, and then because like, I think also a lot of if a black band's not going to say anything about it, or people of color or whatever non-white bands, uh I'm not going to get as mad about it or bummed about it because they're living that every day and maybe they're tired. Like maybe that's just not what they want to be tweeting about because it's something they have to deal with constantly and they just want this to be their little break, and that's okay if that's how you need to deal with it. But it, I think it's a bit frustrating and tone deaf of white artists to not mention it at all and just go about daily business because it's not normal right now, and I don't think it should go back to normal because normal wasn't that great. I think we need to be pushing forwards and not looking back to pre-COVID or whatever as like the ideal. We should be trying to build something better and new from this.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've been building something new yourself, your own record label, Plastic Miracles.
Yeah.
So what made you want to start your own imprint?
I wanted to start it for a while. This idea came, I think in 20. I mean, I've always kind of like when I was a kid, I was like, I thought like Lookout Records was so cool and like all these other small labels, and so I always kind of wanted to do that. But the more hard idea for this came, I think, 2018, um, and the original plan was just to put out other people's music, not my own,
That's a
and just
great label name. Other people's music. Write that
that is a
down.
great label name. I should have named it that. Well, I can't, I guess, because my music's on there now. But um, yeah, that was the plan, and just because I figured like, I was touring and doing all this stuff, and I wanted to figure out other projects that I could do that were more music related. Um, and also, I was meeting so many cool bands and people who like maybe wanted to put a tape out, but like didn't uh, know where to start or didn't have like the $300 or to start the tape, like to press the tape itself. Which like pre-COVID, I was a little more capable of, and now that I am also unemployed, it's a little harder, which is why we're doing fewer releases than planned. But yeah, I just kind of thought like, well, I've gotten a lot from this music community, and what can I do to help others? And um, also, just it's fun to like work on releases with people and help them put out there like this project they've been working on forever and put like their whole heart into. Um, so yeah, I guess that's why I plan to start it. And then when the whole thing with the last label happened, we decided to self-release my record, and I was like, well, I guess I should just put it on my label then instead of just like not, since I have it, you know, it would be weird to be like, I'm self-releasing this record, and but also I have a record label, but they're not connected. um so yeah, that's how that happened.
You didn't have a contract with your other label that would necessarily prevent you from releasing anything, right?
No, I did. We figured it out.
Oh, perfect.
We had a
That's
lot
yeah,
of, yeah, I had a contract and we had a lot of talks, and we figured it out.
great.
So yeah.
What are some of the obstacles that you went through upon starting your label?
um well, I haven't had too many obstacles yet. It's pretty small, so I don't have like any distribution or any of that stuff right now, you know. I think those are going to be some things I need to look into. um I just kind of, I didn't have a set date for it, and then I Bandcamp announced, you know, Bandcamp Day, and I was like, well, the first release is going to be this compilation that's for um charity anyway, so Bandcamp Day sounds like a good day for that. And I texted everyone that had said they could contribute, and I was like, I know I said no deadline, but can you get it to me in 1 week? And they all did, which was wild and pretty cool of them. um and so then I just kind of put it up on the internet and said it was a label now, and got the tapes made, and so I've just kind of been going from there, and kind of learning as I go. And a lot of really amazing folks have reached out, with advice, uh, both people that I already knew, and people that just kind of, um, saw that it existed and shot me emails and were just like, hey, I have a little label too, if you have any questions, like, feel free to reach out. And so that was really cool. It felt like, you know, this community is, it's real, you know, people are not competing, they're just trying to all work together on this thing. And that's what I like about where I am musically also. Like, I'm not trying to go, I don't want it to be just about business. I want it to be about sharing and, um, experiencing things together. um, and you know, the label itself isn't, it's not like a for profit thing. Like, if it makes a profit someday, cool, but for now, like, it's all, any money that comes into it just goes back into releasing other people's stuff. And like, the splits are pretty really super favorable to the artist, because it's, the whole point of this for me is like to help the artists, you know, with their art. So
What are some of the things you're trying to accomplish with Plastic Miracles?
yeah, I want to put out as many things as I can, but I'm only putting out stuff that like I'm super into.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Like, because I'm not that, like, that's, if there's a band that's, there's definitely going to be bands that are super good that send me their stuff, and I can recognize that it's great, but it's not going to be something that I personally feel like I can put all of my energy into. Because I'm not as, I just, you know, it was maybe not my vibe, and I'm not as excited about it as the person who's pushing their record should be. And I think that they'll find a better home for it. But yeah, the goal is basically just to put out and share as much art as possible. And it was originally supposed to be a tape label, but now, we've already announced 2 vinyl records, and then we have the zine, the photo zine by Alex Joseph, that we're gonna do a series of. And I'm like open to putting out, like, publishing, I guess, people's like, short story collections and stuff. And I just kind of, at this point, think it's just gonna be like, the goal is to just share art and music, um, and in a way that hopefully like can support the artists, as much as possible, um, especially since a lot of us are unemployed now. You know, we don't, we're, and I know a lot of folks don't have, they're unable to get on unemployment, and don't have like assistance. So just trying to do what we can to help with that. And I think going forwards in the future too, like, once someday this pandemic is over, I still, like, I'm not going to change the model of the label. The whole point of it still is to support artists. It's not to make money. So, um, yeah, that's the goal, I guess.
Tell me about the Tear Down Fascists cover collection that you did to
Oh,
benefit the New York affiliate Survived and Punished. Tell me about that.
so oops. So uh I had been wanting to cover that Sam Cooke song anyway. Um and then realized I didn't have any plans for that Bandcamp day and texted Barties like Tuesday, I think, and was like, do you want to do this little split with me? And he said yes. And so we were originally going to do like 2 songs each or possibly 3 songs each, and then we realized like that was silly because it was Tuesday and it had to come out on Friday. So we chose our songs, and I had mentioned I want to do Woody Guthrie, and then Barties was like, can I have Woody Guthrie? I'm from Oklahoma. I was like, yes, that's fine. um, and we recorded it all on Thursday and in our homes, and then we sent it to my brother who mixed everything and did like a really really quick master of it. um, and then at 2:59 a.m. I finished that cover drawing, which is why it looks like that, and put it up immediately. And yeah, we just wanted to do something for Bandcamp Day and have something out that we could um, hopefully do some good with and raise some money for a good cause, because there's only so much monetarily we can both do, you know. So if we can use our art and our other talents to try and help, that was the plan behind that.
Tell me about Survived and Punished and what they're all about.
So they're all about how like the American justice system really punishes sexual assault survivors. It's like a they survive this assault and then they are punished, survived and punished, and it's this loop that people can get stuck in because they're criminalized for something that uh I think there's a lot of ways that they can be criminalized, but you know, for you could be criminalized for fighting back, you be criminalized because you have trauma, and you know, you do commit a crime um for whatever reason. And it's just this ongoing system where it just they don't no one actually gets help and nothing gets better, and they're just sent to prison for these things instead of being given aid or counseling or whatever that would actually do some good. So Survived and Punish is both fighting against that and has like a mutual aid set up for commissary stuff. And yeah, trying to fight to get survivors much fairer treatment.
You also did some work with Campaign Zero with your Dead Kennedys cover.
Yeah, we did that, and then I got some messages from people about the 8 Can't Wait program and did some research and changed that one from it's no longer going to Campaign Zero. It's going to, I believe that one's going to various bail funds across the country now. If I remember, it's on the Bandcamp, but I every time I go to do the accounting for all these, I have to like double check the Bandcamp to make sure I'm sending things to the right place, because there's like we've got a couple of things out now.
You're helping so many people out. You can't keep track of them.
No, it's just like we just put out like 3 or 4 different things, and I just want to make sure I'm doing what I say I'm doing. You know, I don't want to be like I'm collecting money for whatever and then send it somewhere else, because that's not what people donated for, and I want to make sure I'm doing. I want people to know where their money's going. You know.
You show off a brand new guitar on Instagram. Like, where'd she get the money for that new guitar?
Yeah. No, no brand new guitars for me. I got all the guitars I need right now, I think. I'm pretty happy with my guitar setup. To go on a accidental tangent, I'm very I'm happy with it. So,
So what's Campaign Zero all about?
well, so they were supposedly about like fighting uh so they're into like police reform basically. And so on the surface that sounds great. Um and is why I picked it. And then the more I talk to people, the more they've been saying and pointing out how a lot of the things that Campaign Zero is fighting for have already been in place in um, a lot of uh, cities, and they're not changing anything. And that reform is the reforms that they're calling for aren't really going to do much. Um, I think it was illustrated pretty well too when they had the 8 Can't Wait campaign out, and they had the 8 things that you need to do, and I think it was one of the police departments in California who had recently done a bunch of pretty terrible stuff, and they tweeted like, "Look, we're already in compliance with 7 of these 8 Can't Wait things. We're not that bad." And it was like, "Oh, well, you are that bad, and I guess these aren't these things. If this is already like you're already technically in compliance with these things, then like this isn't working, and we need to do something else." So that's why I switched away from Campaign Zero to donate elsewhere. Um, but
Yeah,
I
so yeah, now like when you go do these kind of like philanthropy things, it's kind of difficult because you have to do like a deep dive to see if this organization is actually going to help people.
Yeah, totally. And I researched it and stuff beforehand, but I guess I didn't. I don't know. I mean, we're all always learning. So I was really happy that people who did reach out did it, you know, in a nice way where it was like they were like, "Hey, I think you should read this," or like, "Here are my thoughts on this," and it gave me the space to learn, um, which was really really great of them, so that I could uh that I could know and not just like continue blindly supporting something that's maybe not 100% in line with what I was trying to do. I was thinking like these are good steps that we can take to start moving in a better direction, but which is why I chose it, and they just don't seem to be working. So that's that's why I had to move to something else. But I don't think they're like bad. It's not like they're evil or working for the wrong thing necessarily. I just think that maybe their tactics aren't the right ones.
Fair enough. And you covered Dead Kennedys. What are
Hmm.
some of your favorite punk bands? Are they on the list
Uh, on what list?
of your favorite punk bands?
Oh, or Dead Kennedys on the list. Yeah. Yes. Sorry. Um, yeah. Dead Kennedys. Um, I mean, I have to say Green Day. I love Green Day. I got into them when I was a little kid, and they're the part of the reason I play the guitar and want to be in a band and or am in a band, I guess. Um, and I used to love. I like Anti Flag a lot still. Uh, I used to love NoFX, but they've been bumming me out recently. um, let's see. I feel like there's. I liked a lot of. I played in a punk band in DC here, growing up, and I say here because I'm in Maryland right now. And so I loved a lot of local bands. The Max Levine Ensemble. I don't know if you know them. They're
No.
incredible. Um, it's David from Bad Moves' old band. Um, and there was a local band called The Overprivileged that were pretty formative on my show going uh, life. Um, they were some of the earliest like small punk shows I saw, and they were a little older than us, but like the good kind of older than us, where they like love the scene and want to nurture people and are just really great dudes. So a lot of those small local bands, and then like Against Me, I loved, and uh, dang, every time anyone asks me a question like this, I forget every band I've ever listened to.
What about Minor Threat? Speaking of
Oh
DC.
yeah. Minor Threat. I was more of a Fugazi person
Ah,
growing up. Um, but I do like Minor Threat. I never got as super into them as other folks. I don't know why. But I liked it. I listened to it. It just wasn't something that I was like this is my favorite band about.
Yeah. What about Descendants?
Love Descendants.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
love Descendants.
Because if you like Green Day, there's no way you don't like
Yeah,
Descendants.
no, I love them. I've seen them a couple times recently, which has been cool. We went to Philly on my birthday a couple years ago and saw them with Fucked Up, which was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a good show. Uh, I love them. I think they're great, and yeah.
Well, keeping in DC, have you ever gotten into like go-go music, like Trouble Funk and all that stuff?
No, and I should have, and I don't know why I didn't, and I'm like mad about it.
It's wow. I've been listening. Like I watched Dave Grohl's Sonic Highways a couple of years ago, and he
Oh
talked
yeah.
about go-go, and I found out about Trouble Funk by watching W. Kamau Bell's United Shades of America, and
Okay.
oh my god, Trouble Funk is remarkable. Oh my god,
Okay. All
really
right.
good stuff.
I gotta look. I'll look it up right after this.
Yeah.
Because I was actually, that's funny. I was just thinking about this like last week. I was like, how did I not get into go go? I've got to do a deep dive now that I have like the time to
Yeah, we got nothing but time.
yeah, to explore a bunch of stuff. Yeah, it was always just kind of on the periphery of my knowledge. Like I knew it was there, and but I never got into it, which stinks.
Did you grow up in DC area, or you're from New York natively?
I'm from Maryland. And I went to high school in DC, real near. I went to Fort Reno, where they did a lot of Fugazi. I saw Fugazi play there once, which was wild. But it's right next to Wilson, which is where like Ian MacKaye went and stuff. So it was real near there. So I say I'm from DC because I spent a lot of time in DC, especially in
Okay.
high school, and played a lot of shows there. And but I lived in Maryland.
What
I'm
brought
in
you
the
to
house.
New York? Just playing shows and stuff?
Yeah, I went to college in a little bit upstate. So then I went after college. I went home to Maryland for a year, and a bunch of my college friends and a bunch of my high school friends were all moving to New York. And then also music stuff seemed like there was a lot going on. It seemed like a cool place to be. So I just moved to Brooklyn. This is my 11th year there.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been a while. I think I'm ready for a new. I was planning to move to LA, but it doesn't seem doable now with no job and a pandemic.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a little longer till I do that. But I've been liking. I live in Brooklyn and in Crown Heights, the Crown Heights neighborhood. And I really like my neighborhood. I like my neighbors. I like my building. And yeah, it's a cool spot. There's a lot going on.
So you did a Dookie Green Day cover set on Twitch. How
Uh-huh.
many people tuned in?
Oh, I don't know. I've learned to not look at the number. Um, when I started doing the live sets in the beginning, I was always looking to see how many people were there, and I realized it like stressed me out too much. So I actually don't look how many people are there. But there were enough that people were chatting in the chat. So
Wow.
um and I did one before where it was just like, okay, come to Instagram and tell me what Green Day song you want to hear from 10:39 smoothed out slappy hours to Nimrod. You have 92 songs or whatever to choose from, and then I'll play them. And I was like, I just went on and decided to do that, and it went really well. I only messed up one song, which was cool, and I didn't even know like what songs I was going to be playing. And it was both cool and also weird because like it's weird that many Green Day songs are just like in there. But I guess I listened to them hundreds of times in the past.
What are some of your favorite songs from Dookie?
From Dookie
Yep.
specifically, I like. Oh gosh, that's hard. I love the first two, Burnout and Having a Blast. I love. Um, Chump is fine. Longview and Welcome to Paradise are fine. I think I like Longview better than Welcome to Paradise. Pulling Teeth.
I love Longview. That's a
Yeah,
good.
Longview is cool. The bass is rad. The only reason I say they're fine is because they're singles, but they're good. Um, I think Welcome to Paradise wasn't even the best song on Kerplunk in my opinion. So I think it's funny that that's the one they chose to re-record. But it was a big hit, so what do I know? Um, Pulling Teeth is kind of weird to listen to now because of the lyrics. Um, Basket Case is the first song I ever learned on the guitar, so that's a special one. She I really like also. I like
You're
the
just going
lyrics.
through the whole album at this point.
Yeah, I'm doing it. I just in order because I couldn't remember. All of them. I love the last one too, the very last one. I
I
think
do
that
the
might.
same thing with some of my favorite albums too, so
Yeah.
I get it.
um.
Would you do more Twitch streams in the future?
Yeah, I have a bunch coming up in August actually, which I guess I can just say about them. I have, and they're all just me doing live stuff. So I'm doing the fourth. We're doing like a fundraiser one where we're gonna pick an organization, and me and the person who's hosting it are gonna match donations up to a certain amount. And then on August 13th, I'm doing the fest at home, which I'm excited about because we were supposed to play fest this year, but obviously that was postponed. And then August 28th, I don't think this one's gonna be on Twitch, but we're doing the record release show as a live stream, so that's gonna be fun. I'm trying to figure out a way to do it full band that's safe. um, so hopefully it'll be full band, but it might be solo again. But I'm thinking about popping on there and just doing another one of those Green Day. I mean, they're fun, and it's like the only kind of way to connect to people right now, show wise. And I like doing them. I like watching them too. I tune into that David Bazan one every week. I like plan my whole week around it, and it's nice.
I've watched the Rat Boys Twitch
Oh,
stream. They're entertaining as hell.
yeah, I love them. Did you watch the one that they did at Lincoln Hall with Audio Tree?
No, no, how was that?
Oh, I didn't watch it either. I missed
Oh.
it. I was curious. I forget what I couldn't see it, but I'm sure it was great because they're great
Yeah.
and they're really good live too. I saw them at I think South by one year when we were playing.
I saw them at a Union Pool a couple of years ago around
Oh wow,
the last album, GN, when they were touring that.
yeah,
Incredible.
that's cool because Union Pool has like is small and has such a good sound system, or
Yeah.
it did.
Well, you know what? I like for a space that I think you're right. Like for a space that's that small, I've seen incredibly loud bands play that
Yeah,
space, like Beach Creeps, and every nothing sounded too distorted or anything like that. It was just right.
yeah, it sounds good in there. It's
Yep.
not. It's like, and it's weird. I don't think of for some reason it like when I'm thinking of New York venues, I don't. I think because I just hate going to that bar on the weekends because it's crowded and weird, and there's people there. Last time I was there, this guy was like looking around for a trash can to throw away his empty can of Budweiser, and his friend was like, "Just throw it on the ground. They have people for that."
Oh shit. Oh
Yeah,
my
and I was
god.
like, "Ugh."
Oh.
It was disgusting, right? So that's why I was like, those are the sort of people I see there a lot on the weekends. But the venue is cool, and I mean the people who I don't know anything about the people who own the bar. Maybe I'd like to assume they're fine. It's not their fault. They're popular, and a lot of people come there. That's great for them, But I don't like hanging out there. But the venue itself is great. I've played there a couple times. It's been awesome, and they give you food. They give you taco tickets,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
rad.
Yeah. I never actually ate the tacos from the truck, but I'm
They're good.
aware that they exist.
Yeah, they're real good. They're really, really good. Um,
So
yeah.
you've been posting pictures of CDs of bands you're going to cover on Instagram for your cover sets. Are you a big CD collector?
I used to be. I haven't bought a CD in a decade, maybe, but those are all the things I've been covering have been like, because I've mostly been covering stuff that like I've been listening to for a long time, so it's like a fun sort of nostalgia thing too. So those are all CDs I bought like when they came out or like when I was a kid, that I just still have because I'm a big not getting rid of things person. um, so I have every CD I ever bought. I have every record I ever bought. I have all my guitars, even though one of them is completely destroyed because I got it when I was 9. Um, but it's like my first guitar, so I'm not gonna I'm not gonna get rid of it. It's, you know, it's important. Um,
Sentimental is a nice way of saying hoarder.
yes, that's me. Yep. Um, I but it's not. I'm not. You know, you can walk around in my apartment and stuff. I'm not hoarding. I would say, which is good. Because hoarding is scary and sad. And anyway, yeah. So I have all those CDs, and a lot of them are songs. Like I did two '90s, just random '90s cover sets. That was just like songs from the '90s that I love, and a lot of them are things that I knew how to play, and then a lot of them are things that I never had learned how to play, but have heard them so many times that like I can just kind of sit down and play through them once and be like, oh right, because like you know I've heard it like hundreds of times and like know it really well, like better than a lot of the newer stuff I've heard just because of the repetition. So it's been fun, and it's also cool to like just learn a bunch of to have something to focus on and learn a bunch of songs every week. I was doing cover sets every week for like the first, I don't know, 8 weeks of quarantine. Um, it was fun to have like a project to look forward to.
Tell me about your Patreon and more specifically your Patreon exclusive podcast,
Oh yeah,
Stoked to Announce.
yeah. Um, well, the podcast is got 2 episodes out so far. I'm editing the third one right now. It kind of got a little bit behind with like record stuff and everything, but yeah, I just talked to, so far it's just been like friends who are musicians also. um so the first one was my friend Kirill, who has this band Bears, who's awesome, and the second one was with Caitlin from Calyx, so a great band in Pittsburgh. And then this newest one that I'm working on, it's going to be with Josh and Sarah from All Right and Self Aware Records. And that one's actually going to be available to everybody, not just Patreon folk. But yeah, I'm trying to put it out like an episode. I was going to do once a month, and now I think it's every other month. And then in between on the Patreon, I put up demos of stuff that I'm working on, and some cover songs that I do that I like. And everyone gets everything that comes out. The Patreon people get like a day or two before, so like they'll hear the singles first, and they heard that the record existed before anyone, and also that the label existed. And I just say, please don't spill the beans, and nobody spilled the beans yet, which is cool. And yeah, it's just a little place. I put up some tabs and stuff, and basically just like every once in a while I'll just post like, if there's something specific y'all want, like let me know. It's pretty flexible thing. I just kind of want to share and then have another little community. And thinking about doing some like Patreon only live streams in the future once I get like things with all this record stuff a little more settled and have some more time.
That's a very elaborate business plan.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun though. You know, it's like something I enjoy doing. So it's kind of just, yeah, the Patreon's just kind of like whatever. I might put some short stories up there if I finish them and feel good about them.
How has Patreon helped you?
It's cool. It's like, it's nice knowing that at the end of the month I'm gonna get like a couple weeks worth of grocery money. You know, just like there. So that's nice. And then also it's cool to like have this place where I can share some stuff that I otherwise wouldn't share, you know, like the covers or like a song in progress, and get some feedback on it, or just like, you know, hear from people that they enjoyed it or whatever. It's kind of nice just being able to like emotionally and mentally being able to share that stuff with people is pretty cool.
All right, Oceanator. Thanks so much for being on My Little Underground. The new album is Things I Never Said, August 28th, on her very own Plastic Miracles labels. This is your time. Plug away. Twitch, social media, anything you got going on. Patreon.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I got Patreon. It's patreon.com/Oceanator. The Twitch is twitch.tv/EliseOcean. You can follow me over there, and then it'll let you know when I go live. which sometimes I just do randomly. The Instagram is Oceanator Band. The Twitter is just Oceanator. And I have a website at oceanator.surf, which I'm pretty proud of. And then
That's
the
amazing.
Bandcamp. Yeah, it's good, right? And then the Bandcamp is oceanator.bandcamp.com. And you can also pre-order the record and the cassette on undertowstore.com. It's up there too. I think that's all the things.
All the small things and the big things.
All the small things is the first song I learned on the drums. So there we
Whoa.
go. It's
There
all
you
coming
go.
together.
Oceanator on My Little Underground. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks very much. This was fun.